Hello everyone, welcome to Automation E2E. In this tutorial, we are going to learn all about JavaScript Executor in Selenium. We'll start by understanding why JavaScript Executor is required, then go over what it is, followed by how and when to use it in real-world scenarios. We'll also wrap up with some best practices so you know when to use it and when not to. So, let's get started. JavaScript Executor is an interface in Selenium that lets you run JavaScript code directly in the browser from our test scripts. It is one of the interfaces that is implemented by remote WebDriver, which eventually means that all the drivers, whether it be Chrome, Firefox, implement JavaScript Executor. Let me move to IntelliJ and show you this. So this is the JavaScript Executor interface, and this interface has this execute script method. This is the main method that will help us run JavaScript directly in the browser from our tests. So if we go here, and if I right click and if I click on go to implementations, it'll show you how many implementations are there. So as you can see, all the drivers have implemented JavaScript Executor. If I go to this remote WebDriver, so this JavaScript Executor is one of the class that has been implemented by it. So I've created this class to show you how to use JavaScript Executor. So before we jump into the right way, I want you to understand these things first. Let's say if I directly try driver.execute script method, the compiler won't allow it. The reason is the WebDriver doesn't have execute script method, nor it extends JavaScript Executor. So to call this execute script method, you would need an instance of JavaScript Executor interface. To understand it better, let me take it back to this diagram wherein we saw that remote WebDriver implements WebDriver and JavaScript Executor. But here you can see the WebDriver interface doesn't extend JavaScript Executor interface in any way. Thus, what we did just now in our code, that is driver.execute, is invalid. The right way or the recommended way to do is create an instance or variable of JavaScript Executor. Let's call it JS, and if you directly try to assign it, it won't allow it because of the same reason, that is WebDriver and JavaScript Executor are not related in any way. So how to do this? Let's go back to this diagram and let's have a look at an extended version of this diagram. So here you can see we have created an instance or a variable of WebDriver and an object of Chrome driver. And if you see the hierarchy, the Chrome driver in a way implements both JavaScript Executor as well as WebDriver. So in this case, we would need to do something called typecasting in Java. Since we have an object of Chrome driver and it implements JavaScript Executor, we can cast Chrome driver into JavaScript Executor. And to do that, we would need to do the upcasting. Since we are putting child class object into the parent class object, this casting would be called upcasting. Let's go back to the code, and if I hover over it, you can see it is suggesting me to cast it to JavaScript Executor. So once we do that, this is the recommended way to use JavaScript Executor. Now, if we go to the hierarchy, since Chrome driver implements JavaScript Executor, why are we not directly casting it to the Chrome driver? Like instead of doing JavaScript, if I do Chrome driver, I would still be able to access js.execute script method. Doing this is highly not recommended. The main reason for it is you'll lose abstraction and code flexibility across the browsers. So let's say tomorrow, if I try using Firefox driver here, I would have to again change the code. That is, I would have to replace the Chrome driver with the Firefox driver. So this is not the recommended way. Assigning this WebDriver instance and typecasting it to JavaScript Executor is much cleaner and clearer approach to use JavaScript Executor. Now let's have a look at some real life scenarios. For that, let's go to UI Test Automation Playground site again, and let me right click here and inspect. Very often you will come across a use case wherein you will have to scroll down the page, like we perform this particular scrolling action to reach a particular element, or maybe just scroll a certain pixels. So how to automate it? For that, you would need JavaScript Executor to execute the JavaScript. So to demonstrate how we do it with the code, I would also like you to know how to do it from browser. So if you inspect and go to this console section, and here you type the JavaScript code to move this particular page by, let's say, 500 pixels. See, it moved from 0 to 500. Now let's do it for 1000. You can see that it's reached 1000 pixels down. So I'm simply executing a few JavaScript codes here in the console, and the browser is mimicking the things. The same thing Selenium will do. It will execute the JavaScript, and whatever action that you saw right now happening will happen in the code. Also, let's say you want to give some alert, like I'll give a welcome to UI test. There you go. The alert is prompted here. Basically, whatever JavaScript you executed here, you have to provide that in the execute script method of JavaScript Executor in Selenium. Let's get back to the code, and here let's first open the web page, then we'll do js.execute script, and we'll enter our script here. Let's first scroll to 0 to 1000 pixels, and once we scroll, we will give that alert, welcome to UI test. Let me add a thread.sleep here so that you can see the execution happening. Alright, let's execute this program and see how it works. So as you can see, it scrolled down and it has displayed the alert. So basically, in execute script method, you would have to provide the JavaScript that you have to execute within the browser. Now, let's have a look at a couple of more use cases where you can use JavaScript Executor. You can perform actions like sending keys to an input field, clicking on a button, and many other using JavaScript Executor as well. But you only have to use them when the traditional Selenium methods are not working as expected for you. So let me quickly show you how you can send keys and click on a button using JavaScript Executor. For that, let's use this site. So here what we will do is we will enter the username, enter the password, and perform a click action to sign in. So let's do this using JavaScript Executor. So I've already written this code, so let me import the web element and the by class, and I'll go to the site. I've created an instance of JavaScript Executor, and then I have this username web element, and here I have written a script to enter the value into the username field. Here the execute script method has two parts. One is the script that will be executed, and second is the element that will be used here. So what Selenium will do is it will find the element and pass it to this method, wherein this argument at the place of 0 will be replaced and a set attribute method would be executed. So set attribute, as the name suggests, will assign the value attribute with the standard user value. So similarly, I have added this for password, wherein I'll send the value as secret in the password field, and for clicking on the web element, we'll pass the web element and we will simply do dot click on it. So just for you to see the execution, before clicking, let me add thread.sleep. Alright, so let's execute this program and see how it works. So it has entered the value in both fields and clicked on sign in. So that's how you perform the send keys and clicking action in JavaScript Executor. Now, another use case which many people use it in is debugging. Like, let's say on this page, you want to highlight a particular element. For example, let's say you want to highlight this financial overview element with a border for debugging purpose. So how to do that? Let us write a quick script for that as well. So I've already taken the XPath for that, added it in financial overview web element, and this is the script that will add a solid border with red color around this financial overview web element. To see that in action, let me also just maximize the browser. Window maximize. So this will maximize the browser. Now let's run this program and see how it works. It has entered the username password, clicked on sign in, and as you can see, this financial overview tab is highlighted with a red border. You can specify the color here, the type of border here, and basically you can modify any CSS properties or any element on the DOM using JavaScript Executor. So these are some common use cases where people use JavaScript Executor to execute JavaScript inside the browser at the time of automation. Let's have a look at some do's and don'ts while using JavaScript Executor. Use it only when standard Selenium methods fail to interact with an element, like when it's hidden, not clickable, or not responding as expected. It's especially helpful when you need more control for debugging, highlighting an element, or directly manipulating the DOM. It also comes in handy when testing modern JavaScript-heavy applications built with frameworks like React, Angular, where elements are often managed through virtual DOM updates. But be careful, avoid changing critical states of application using JavaScript unless absolutely necessary. And don't overuse it. Remember, JavaScript Executor bypasses how a real user would interact with the application, so overusing it can lead to false positives. So treat it as the last resort or a special tool when Selenium's standard methods just aren't enough. That's it from this tutorial. In the next tutorial, you'll learn about Actions class provided by Selenium. If you found this video helpful, do like the video and subscribe to the channel. It's a small click for you, but it really helps the channel grow. Thank you so much for watching.